The M1 credit card is pretty much the only card on the market that promises to give you 10% back on popular companies like Netflix or Spotify. But is this card actually going to live up to these promises, and have they been living up to these promises so far since it released? Or is it like the rest of these brokerage cards that fail to meet their promises? In this video, I'm going to give you everything that you need to know about the M1 Finance credit card, from the metal card design all the way to the redemption options. Also, this video was really frustrating to script for because this is one of those credit cards that don't tell you the information on the website, so I had to read a bunch of fine print and watch other videos and go through websites. It was hard. Just press the like button, help me out. Alright, so let's talk about this card. If you've been holding this card for a while, you've probably noticed there's been a lot of changes to it. And let me tell you, pretty much every single credit card that I've seen that is not backed by a big bank, whether that's a brokerage card like this card or a PayPal card, a lot of the debit cards too, like that Coinbase debit card, they're going to follow this exact playbook almost every time. They're going to announce this new card, but they're not going to release it right away. They're going to create a waiting list to build a bunch of hype and people like me that get excited and FOMO, so they go ahead and get that card. Then they deliver and they give those high rewards for a while, but then every single time they nerf the card, making it not quite as good, and if it was like that in the first place, you wouldn't have got it, but also not bad enough to cancel. You saw that with Crypto.com's card. You're probably going to see that with a new Robinhood credit card that's coming out that's offering 3%, so that's why it's always good to wait at least a year after these kind of cards release to let the dust settle a little bit. Don't get fear of missing out. This credit card's going to be around, and in about a year from when it releases, you're going to see if it actually meets its promise or not. And the same thing happened with this card. It used to give you rewards on a bunch of different categories. You would get 10% off on Tesla, there was Peloton, Lululemon, and then the 5% category you'd have a bunch of big airlines, pretty much every single big gas station, and there's around 80 different businesses and companies that you could get really good rewards on. But now there's like 30, and they really aren't all that good. There's a couple good ones in there which I'll cover in the reward section, but this card followed that exact playbook, had a waiting list, promised a beautiful metal card to get all the nerds like me, and then after a while they nerfed this card where at this point, I don't know. Also, when this credit card came out, it had a $95 annual fee. But if you had M1 Premium, I don't think they called it that, whatever they called it, you paid a little bit extra, get some extra perks, you would not have to pay that annual fee. And that was to ensure that you're using M1 as your primary stock brokerage. But then they got rid of that, and now this card doesn't have an annual fee, but if you have under $10,000 in M1's brokerage, then you'll have to pay a $3 monthly service fee. So you can view that as an annual fee if you want, but if you want to get this card, it's going to make sense to have M1 as your primary brokerage, because let's be honest, you want all your stocks in the same place so that you can get that compounding interest. So if you're a brokey and you don't have any investments, you might have to pay that $3 service fee, but there's a good chance that this card isn't going to come with an annual fee. If we go ahead and look at the sign-up bonus, you're going to get nah, I'm just kidding. You're not going to get a sign-up bonus at all. And this is also typical of these fintechy brokerage PayPal kind of cards. They have pretty good rewards, but they don't come with a sign-up bonus, so they're not losing money on the card. But if we do look at the benefits that come with this card, there's some pretty nice ones. It is a Visa signature card, so you're going to get those travel protections as well as access to the concierge line. But let's talk about the rewards, and let's be honest, that's why we're all here. And the way that these rewards work is there's essentially 3 different categories. There's a 10% category, 5% category, and then 2.5% category. And there's going to be different retailers in each one of those categories. And these categories are constantly changing. I think it's every quarter. If you do want this card, go ahead and check their website. But ever since this card was released, each time that they change these reward categories, they're not really changing it too much. They're mostly just getting rid of retailers. Like I said, there was like 80 when it launched, but now there's like 30. In the 10% category, you're getting retailers right now like AMC, Netflix, Spotify, and then Adobe. In the 5% category, you're getting Chewy, Chipotle, Domino's, McDonald's, Shake Shack, Starbucks, and then Portillo's, I don't know. Then there's quite a bit more in the 2.5% cashback category. There's some really big names like Apple and Target, and then Uber, Lyft, and Lowe's. But like I said, they're always adding and taking away from this list, so make sure you go and check for yourself. A lot of people have Spotify, Netflix, and getting 10% off of that is pretty good. The 5% categories are kind of useless because there's a lot of other credit cards that'll give you 5% back on dining, and 6 out of 7 of those are dining. One is dog food for some reason, but you definitely can get a lot of use out of that 2.5% category because there's things like Apple and Target where it's going to be really hard to get rewarded for those categories unless you have their specific credit cards. So the rewards category right now is still pretty good. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. And honestly, I'm kind of tempted to get this card just because I go to Chipotle every day and I have Spotify. Plus, you guys know I'm a sucker for metal cards. If we do look at this card design, it's honestly beautiful. It's a metal credit card. It almost looks like a Batarang in credit card form. It's very modern, but also clean at the same time. And it comes with a gold reader chip. But I'm just going to limit myself to one stupid brokerage card. And the main reason why is going to be that redemption. And you are going to get all your cashback rewards automatically deposited into your investment account. And the way that this works is it's going to be equally deposited into whatever stocks or ETFs you to hold. So let's say that you have Apple, Tesla, and then maybe the S&P 500, and then a share of Google. If you earn $10 in cash back, $2.50 is going to go into each one of those stocks, which is going to be really good for anyone that already uses M1 as their brokerage account, because not only are you getting those high cashback rewards, they're also going to be automatically invested for you and then grow even more. M1 does have a really good high yield savings account giving you 5% back, but unfortunately you're not able to have these rewards go into your savings account. So this is definitely a good card if you already use M1 as your primary brokerage, but for me personally, this card just isn't good enough to move over all my stocks and investments into this brokerage. And you guys can make fun of me for using Robinhood and not wanting to move it over, and that's fine. Before I give you my final verdict on this card, let's quickly run through some pros and cons. The first pro is that if you have any of those brands, you're getting some really high cashback rates, especially things like Spotify, Netflix, which have been on the 10% category, I think, as long as it launched. And then the second pro is that all your rewards are automatically going to be invested for you. You're also going to get those Visa signature benefits like concierge line, and you get a beautiful card design. And one thing that I forgot to mention in the reward section is that you get 1.5% back on every single one of your miscellaneous purchases. So this will act as a pretty good catch-all credit card. And then the cons of this card is those cashback rewards are capped at $200 a month, which isn't bad, and if you're earning $200 a month in cash back, you're doing pretty good. But one big con is if you don't have $10,000 in M1, then you are going to have to pay that $3 service fee. So this card really only makes sense if you're already using M1 for all your investments. And also this is a no foreign transaction fee card, so if you want to use it overseas, you can. And if you stack it up to all these other fintech, crypto kind of cards, then this is one of my favorites. The only one that I like better is the Gemini card, so go check out my review on that after this video. And overall, I'm going to give this card 3.5 out of 5 stars. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this card, and if anyone that's watching this actually has this, because I don't think I've ever come across a person in real life that has the M1 card. And if you made it this far in the video, what do I have to do to get you to subscribe? Dance like a monkey? I don't know, I'll do anything, you tell me.